When you look at the modern mythological landscape, Professor X and Magneto stand as two of the most distinct cultural archetypes we have, one fighting for peaceful integration, the other fighting for absolute domination. But before they spent decades locked in a bitter war for the future of their species, these two men were actually the closest of allies. Their relationship was built on a terrible, tragic irony. It was only by joining their powerful forces to save humanity from total nuclear annihilation that their brotherhood was ultimately destroyed. So how exactly did the shared trauma of preventing World War III permanently fracture the mutant world's greatest friendship? The answer starts in 1944, behind the barbed wire of the Auschwitz concentration camp, where a young Erik Lehnsherr is violently separated from his parents. When a Nazi officer named Klaus Schmidt realizes the boy has latent abilities, he orders him to move a metal coin.
Erik can't do it, and Schmidt murders his mother in front of him. In that exact moment, unimaginable grief forcibly erupts Erik's magnetic powers. At that exact same time, across the ocean, in Westchester County, New York, young Charles Xavier is living a life of sprawling, untouched wealth. When Charles discovers a blue-skinned, shape-shifting girl named Raven in his kitchen, his reaction isn't fear. It's to casually invite her to live in his mansion as his sister. Erik's entire understanding of humanity is forged in the pessimism of survival and cruelty, while Charles's worldview is built entirely on inherent trust. Because these two perspectives were anchored in radically opposing childhood realities, their paths were practically guaranteed to collide. By 1962, the geopolitical temperature of the globe is freezing over as the Cold War takes hold. Behind the rising tensions is Klaus Schmidt. Now going by the name Sebastian Shaw, he has maintained his youth and is secretly pulling the strings of both United States and Soviet military forces. Shaw's overwhelming threat forces Charles and Erik into an uneasy alliance. They set up operations inside a covert CIA facility known as Division X, tasked with tracking down and recruiting a specialized mutant strike team. But even during training, their ideological cracks begin to show. Charles actively encourages a young mutant named Hank McCoy, whose hands resemble animal feet, to synthesize a biological cure so they can blend in with normal society. Erik takes the exact opposite approach. He pulls Raven aside and persuades her to reject Charles's assimilation tactics, urging her to proudly embrace her natural, blue-scaled form. So while they are building a unified army to stop a human war, Charles and Erik are simultaneously cultivating the two warring factions of their own future. Their private philosophical debate is cut short when Shaw successfully manipulates military generals into placing active nuclear missiles in Cuba. The situation instantly escalates to a tense naval blockade line. United States and Soviet fleets stare each other down in open water, mere moments away from triggering a global nuclear exchange. Averting a Third World War now requires Charles and Erik to perfectly synchronize their vastly different abilities. In a massive coordinated assault, Charles uses his telepathy to hijack the mind of a Soviet sailor to sink a missile ship, while Erik uses his magnetism to forcefully rip Shaw's hidden submarine completely out from the depths of the ocean. This incredible combination of mental dominance and raw physical force successfully neutralizes Shaw's operation and physically halts the human apocalypse. Yet this exact moment of peak cooperation between Charles and Erik is what directly causes their permanent division. Inside the ruined submarine, Erik confronts a paralyzed Shaw. He then executes the man who killed his mother by slowly driving the exact same Nazi-decorated coin from 1944 straight through his skull. Instead of ending the threat, Erik fully absorbs Shaw's mutant elitism. He steps out of the wreckage and uses his powers to turn the naval missiles around, aiming them squarely at the human fleets. A chaotic skirmish erupts on the beach. Charles desperately tackles Erik, violently fighting to stop his friend from committing mass murder. In the ensuing struggle, a human CIA agent fires her weapon at Erik. He effortlessly deflects the gunfire, but one of the diverted bullets pierces Charles's spine. Charles is left permanently paralyzed. His unwavering, unyielding faith in human goodness is the exact mechanism that physically breaks him. To finalize the severance of their brotherhood, Erik places Shaw's telepathy-blocking helmet onto his own head, erecting a permanent, literal wall between his mind and Charles.
they finally part ways. Erik flies off with a newly formed brotherhood of mutants, while a wheelchair-bound Charles retreats to his mansion to start a secret school, erasing the memories of his human CIA allies to protect his students. The ultimate geopolitical irony plays out across the globe. Humanity breathes a collective sigh of relief, entirely convinced they have dodged the absolute worst-case scenario. The human Cold War was successfully averted on that beach, but the ideological schism forged in the sand officially launched a much longer, darker Cold War between humanity and mutants.
And that's how the incredible story comes to an end. Every decision, every sacrifice, and every battle led to this unforgettable finale. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more detailed movie explanations and cinematic story recaps. Also, hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next movie recap.